How to make amends with a dying loved one. When you are not talking with a loved one, it can be really hard for you and your loved one. This can be even more complicated if your loved one is dying. If you want to reconnect with a dying loved one, try to approach your loved one with openness and honesty so you can start to heal your relationship. If you are at odds with your loved one, there are some strategies you can use to help make it easier to make amends. Part 1: Reconnecting with your loved one. 1. Make the connection. Making contact with your loved one is an important part of making amends. Don't wait around for your loved one to reach out or for it to happen naturally. When your loved one is ill and dying, make it your first priority to get back into his or her life. Try making a phone call, sending a letter, or stopping by to see your loved one. There is no right way to make contact, so choose most comfortable option for you. Keep in mind that it might be difficult to reach out, especially if it has been a while since you last talked. 2. Pick the right time to reconnect. When your loved one is dying, there may be times when he or she is not feeling well or is out of it because of medications. These might not be the best times to try to make amends. Instead, pick a time when your loved one is awake and alert enough to listen and understand you. Try asking your loved one's caregiver about the best time to stop by or call. 3. Request a private conversation. When you make amends with your loved one, you may want to ensure that you will have some privacy to talk. It might be hard to express your feelings with other friends or family members around. Your loved one may also be less likely to want to talk to you or listen to what you have to say if other people are around. Try requesting privacy with your loved one by saying something like, "I was hoping just the two of us could talk for a while. Would that be okay?" If your loved one agrees, then the other people in the room might just leave. If not, then try saying, "Could you please excuse us for a few minutes?" 4. Don't put it off. When you are trying to make amends with your dying loved one, try to do it as soon as possible. If you know that your loved one is going to die but hasn't died yet, you have the time to make amends. This will help you avoid the guilt and regret of your loved one passing before you made amends. Even if your loved one's doctor has given your loved one a certain number of months to live, you should not wait. The sooner you make amends, the more time you will have with your loved one to repair your relationship before they die. Part 2: Talking with your loved one. 1. Admit your mistakes. To make amends with your loved one, try to be honest about your actions and the rift between the two of you. Tell your loved one exactly what you are sorry about and how much you want to move past these past mistakes in order to make amends. This may be hard for you to do since each of you were hurt enough to be kept apart for so long. For example, you might express regret about certain things that you said to your loved one or for cutting him or her out of your life. Try saying something like, "I am sorry for cutting off communication with you for so many years. I regret doing that because we lost valuable time. I hope that you can forgive me for that mistake." 2. Try to make it up to your loved one. Once you are honest about why you want to make amends, you can try to come up with a way to make these amends. Even if your loved one was a major part of why there was a rift between you two, try to focus on your part in the rift and allow your loved one to express any regrets that he or she has on his or her own. Try to figure out the best way make up for anything you did to hurt your loved one and start your relationship anew. For example, you might make up for lost time by spending an afternoon with your loved one every week, or by calling daily. 3. Listen carefully. When you are making amends with your loved one, both of you may have lingering hurt feelings. Try to listen to what your loved one tells you about how he or she feels. This will help you to make amends with your loved one and make you feel better. However, keep in mind that this may be hard to do as your loved one recounts what happened between the two of you. As you listen to your loved one, make sure that you make eye contact, if you are talking in person, and make neutral statements to show you are paying attention, such as I see, and go on. You can also show that you are paying close attention and ensure that you are on the same page by paraphrasing what your loved one says now and then and asking for clarification. Try saying something like, "So I think what you're saying is that you felt disappointed. Is that what you mean?" You can show interest in what your loved one says and try to get more information by asking leading or probing questions. A leading question prompts the speaker to elaborate, whereas a closed question does not. For example, you would just get a yes or no answer by asking, "Did that make you feel sad?" Instead, you could ask, "How did that make you feel?" This question is more likely to get your loved one to keep talking. 4. Give yourselves time to get there. When you first start talking to your loved one, he or she may not be ready to talk. As much as you might want to make amends with your loved one, try let him or her take the lead at first. Try not to push your loved one too far at first in case this scares your loved one away from the possibility of reconnecting and amending your relationship. If your loved one keeps trying to change the subject away from past wrongs, try not to push him or her to talk about these things. Your loved one may just need to work up to it. Allow your loved one to direct the conversation for a while and then return to the subject later. For example, you might reintroduce the topic by saying something like, "I was hoping we could talk about I know it might not be something you want to talk about right now, but I would like us to talk about it soon. Do you think that would be possible?" 5. Be open to any reaction. When your loved one is dying, he or she will likely be going through a range of emotions. On top of trying to make amends with you, your loved one is also working through his or her fears about death. This might make it difficult to pinpoint how your loved one is feeling in relation to you and your past troubles. If you can, you may be able to help your loved one work through these other feelings as well as you move towards making amends. 6. Expect anger from your loved one. When you are trying to make amends with your loved one, you should expect your loved one to be angry. This anger may be directed towards you or about dying. If you are serious about making amends, then try to keep in mind that you may encounter some anger along the way. After your loved one has expressed his or her anger, you can start moving towards amending your relationship. If your loved one gets angry at you, try saying something like, "I can see that you are angry, and that is okay. What are you feeling angry about right now?" Part 3. Helping your loved one. 1. Offer support in this tough time. Once you make amends with your loved one, let him or her know that you are there for support. Dying can be a lonely process, especially if the visits and calls from other loved ones and friends taper off as your loved one gets sicker. During this time, you can offer yourself as a point of support as your loved one lives out his or her last days. This will also help make up for the time you spent apart from your loved one before you made amends. 2. Help your loved one grieve. Knowing your loved one is going to die will be hard on you and your loved one. Once you make amends, you can be there to help your loved one process his or her death. Your loved one may benefit from coming to terms with death and grieving it. There is no one way to grieve. Let your loved one process it in any way he or she needs. Provide any support or assistance your loved one needs to make additional amends, or help your loved one do the things he or she wants to do before dying. 3. Help your loved one get his or her affairs in order. While your loved one is dying, he or she will need to get his or her estate and life in order. This will include medical directives, insurance policies, wills, and other legal documents that need to be put in order before your loved one dies. You can work with your loved one's legal counsel, doctors, and other family and friends to make sure that your loved one's affairs are in order. 4. Don't downplay your loved one's condition. When your loved one is dying, it may be hard to handle the idea that he or she will soon die. Despite this difficulty, don't try to downplay your loved one's condition to make your loved one or yourself feel better. Your loved one knows he or she is dying, and nothing you say will change that. Downplaying the situation might make your loved one feel bad, and it could interfere with moving your relationship forward. Avoid reassuring phrases such as "I'm sure it isn't that bad," or "I bet you'll feel better in no time."